Good morning, everybody. I apologize for the delay in getting this up this morning. I've been feeling a little bit under the weather for the last day or so and just needed a little bit of time to get everything settled this morning more than usual. This morning we are looking at a couple of lessons from Isaiah chapter 33. I'm going to pull out two lessons from this particular chapter as we examine this particular chapter. You have in this chapter what is described in a number of places as a prayer of Isaiah's, and you're going to see the emphasis of that early on in the chapter with the use of the words of we and our and so on and so forth. That this is from Isaiah's perspective as much as it is from the Lord's perspective. And so notice with me very quickly a couple of things from this particular chapter. I'd like to first point out from verses 2 through 4, where Isaiah says, O Lord, be gracious to us. We have waited for you. Be their arm every morning, our salvation also in time of trouble. At the noise of the tumult, the people shall flee. When you lift yourself up, the nations shall be scattered, and your plunder shall be gathered like the gathering of the caterpillar, as the running to and fro of locusts he shall run upon them. Isaiah here talks about those who are still faithful to God, those who are still seeking to serve God. And he uses the statement in verse 2. He says, we have waited for you. You know, one of the things that we often need to remember when it comes to the discussion of Judah and even the kingdom of Israel in the days of the prophets is that while many times we read about the prophets, we don't always read about the people. And so while oftentimes we have certain key emphases on the people do this or the people don't do that, not all of the people fall into a single category. You might recall back in the statements of God to Elijah, where after the situation at Mount Carmel, where Elijah then goes and flees to the mountains. And God will tell Elijah, because Elijah feels like he's the only one that's left, God tells Elijah, I still have 7,000 that haven't bowed the knee to Baal. Well, you kind of have the same situation here in Judah at this time. Judah is not full of people that are doing what is right. They're not full of people. It's not full of people that are fully devoted to God. But at the same time, that doesn't mean that everybody is failing to do what they're supposed to do and is failing to be who they're supposed to be. Isaiah talks about this in a plurality, that we have waited for you. Our salvation is also in the time of trouble, that you are our salvation in the time of trouble. And so we have the recognition, and Isaiah's recognition, that he is not the only one who is trying to do what is right. There are others as well. And there are others that are being successful in being servants of God. They're not a majority, but they are a plurality. And so we need to be mindful of that. In the second place, dropping down to verse number 10, you have a change in emphasis a little bit to the statements of the Lord, where he says, now I will rise, says the Lord. Now I will be exalted. Now I will lift myself up. You shall conceive chaff, you shall bring forth stubble, your breath as fire shall devour you, and the people shall be like the burnings of lime. Like thorns cut up, they shall be burned in the fire. And he's going to go on and on like this. But I want to hone in on the statement of verse 10. He says, now I will rise, I will be exalted, I will lift myself up. You have the recognition that the people have not been lifting the Lord up the way that they should. He has not been exalted in their sight. He has been brought down to being just at the level of the other gods that the nations around them worship. He is one who is worshipped, but he is not respected. He is one who has offerings given to him, but he is not held in high esteem. He is one that is requiring a response from his people, that they need to change, that they need to get back on the right track. He says, I will be exalted. I will be raised up. And you're going to see the argument that he's going to make beginning in verse number 14 of how that is going to take place, that the sinners in Zion are afraid. Fearfulness has seized the hypocrites. And so he is going to be raised up through the things that are going to transpire. So those are a couple of the things that I pulled out of chapter 33. And I know that there's some other things that we could look at, but those are some of the key points that I found in the chapter. And so I hope that you found some things that are worthwhile to you, some things that are interesting to you, that you're writing those down and that you're keeping those for later reference. And certainly if you want to share them, I would be more than happy to read them and to hear them. I hope you have a great day, and congratulations. You are now halfway through the book of Isaiah. We'll see you tomorrow as we examine chapter 34.